Hey everyone, Mr. Chalman here. We're just going to be talking a little bit about a recap of Lesson 7. So this is a recap of what we went over today for Lesson 7. Sorry for my rudimentary drawing. Um, so this problem came directly from our book, and this is 7.2, just so you know. And I basically just snipped it and put it on a Word document so we can draw on it and talk about it, okay? So the key to this lesson is finding, or the idea of this lesson is to find the average rate of change between 2 points, right? So if you look at this graph, you can see we have lots of different points all over here, right? I got points over here at 18, I got a point at 20, I got a point up here at about 25, et cetera, et cetera. Now this graph is dealing with temperature, right? You can see right here, temperature as the time passes in the day. This says hours since noon. So right here, 0, this is going to be noon. And then if you keep going through the day, notice it's counting. There's numbers missing here, like this should be 1, this should be 3, sorry, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc., all the way up to midnight, which is what this is, right? This is midnight, okay? So also let's notice temperature. It looks like temperature is going up by 2s. So this is 10 up here. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8, etc., 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 all the way up. Okay, so just a couple things we want to notice about the graph before we get started. Okay, if we're going to be finding the average rate of change, what we have to do is we have to find 2 points on our graph and find out what is the change between this point and this point. Now, remember, rate of change is another word for slope, right? And the way to find slope is to calculate rise over run, or change in height over change in distance left to right, okay? So if I'm going to take 2 points on this graph, and let me just emphasize 2 different points, all right? So this question, or number B, between noon and 4 p.m. So noon is right here at the beginning, right? So this is noon, and 4 p.m. is right here, okay? So it looks like we started at 18. At noon, it was 18 degrees, and at 4 p.m., oh, that's actually 3. Sorry, let me erase that. Undo. 4 p.m. is right here. So at 4 p.m., it looks like we were up at 25, okay? So 25. So in order to calculate the average rate of change, what I have to do is see what is the difference between this point and this point, right? So clearly we went up a certain number, right? And then we went over a certain number. And the idea is if you find that rate of change, then you now have the average rate of change from this point up to this point. Okay, so it looks like we went from 18 to 25, which is plus 7. So plus 7. And we went from noon to 4 in the afternoon, which is 4 hours. Okay, so in order to do slope, remember we do rise over run, or change in height versus change in horizontal distance this way. So we went up 7 and over 4. And this comes to, it looks like 1.75. Yeah, 1.75 degrees every hour. So degrees Fahrenheit per hour. So that means every hour the temperature went up 1.75 degrees. Okay, that's what's happening between this point and this point. Now, I want you to notice this. This is a different situation, right? Whoops. Yes, I want to use that. All right. The next one, C, talks about noon and midnight. Okay, now we're looking at the entire graph. So if we start here at noon, right here, and we go all the way to midnight, which is right here, the temperature isn't going up anymore. It's not a positive rate of change, right? This red one from noon to 4, that was positive because we were going up, right? This one is going to be negative because we're going down. Or basically, from noon until midnight, the average temperature went down, right? Because we're down here. We started at 18, and now we're down at what looks like to be right here, which is 4, 6, that's 7. So we went from 18 down to 7, right? So that looks like we subtracted 11. So we went down 11 degrees, right? And it looks like we went over this way. How many hours did that take? It took 12 hours. Okay, 12 hours. So our new average rate of change, because we're going to average this, we're not going to calculate all these little dots in here. We're just taking the average between these 2 points. Okay, so the average rate of change would be negative 11 divided by 12. So negative 11 degrees in 12 hours. And that equals, I'm going to have to use my calculator for this one. So hang on a sec. So I'm going to go, if you're using your phone like me, I'm going to go 11 and then push the negative button right there, divided by 12. And that equals negative 0.916. So a little bit less than 1 degree every hour, but still it's going down, right? So this equals negative 0.916 repeating degrees Fahrenheit every hour. Okay, so that's kind of the gist of this entire lesson, right? We want to be able to tell, we want to know that the average rate of change does not include every point. It's just like from where you started to where you ended, right? It's just in between those 2 points, and we're going to calculate that rate of change and figure out if it's going up or down, which tells us if it's positive or negative. And we can actually calculate those two averages by just calculating or using a slope triangle between the two. Okay, so if you have any questions, please email me or your teacher, and we'll try and get them straightened out for you. All right, great work so far. Remember to do your homework. It starts on basically the next page of your book. Practice problems for lesson 7, numbers 1 through 4. All right, talk to you next time. Mr. Tolman signing off.